tennis, lacrosse, swimming, equestrian, golf. If there's one thing you notice about these sports in the United States, it's this. The fans in the seats and the players on the field are overwhelmingly white. Is that how things are supposed to be, or is it something that we should be intentionally changing? With us today are two gentlemen who are eager to talk about the game of golf and, more importantly, the meaning of golf in their lives. Andre Pillow is a PGA professional and development coordinator at the First Tee of West Michigan. Jorge Garcia is a high school student and birdie-level participant in the First Tee. Andre, Jorge, welcome to Feel Like You Belong.
Thanks.
Thanks.
You bet. So, Andre, I want to start with you.
Sure.
A lot of people aren't familiar with the First Tee. It's a national program. Tell us about it.
Yep. It's a national program. Started, I believe, in 1997 out west in San Diego with a small facility. The whole idea behind it was to try to impact lives and change communities by exposing them to a game where a lot of business is done and can be played for a number of years. It's just a lot of powerful things related to golf and the golf industry and playing golf. And so there were some very important people out that way that saw that there was a need to expose more people to the game. And now, over 20 years later, been some adjustments from that original template. But
So
the whole
the current
idea,
model is you're working with kids?
correct, working with kids,
Ages?
ages 7 to 17. We seek communities where there's an element of need, a higher percentage of students on free and reduced lunch programs at their school. But we also want to reach all kids, gender, more girls, more involvement there. And obviously we're helping them with social skills, life skills, teaching them core values. We have 9 core values and 9 healthy habits that we're also kind of incorporating in our class structure. My favorite is probably perseverance, confidence, sportsmanship, and respect. Those are probably my top 4. And this gentleman to my left is someone I think that kind of expresses all of those core values in his everyday life there.
So when I ask, thank you for bringing Jorge into the conversation, because interestingly, you used to be a swimmer. Maybe you still swim a little bit, but you golf now. What does golf have that maybe swimming didn't?
Well,
Besides drier clothing.
Well, I started golf because my little brother at his school, they were hosting like free lessons at Maple Hill driving range.
Okay.
So I saw my little brother go and I wanted to go too. So I asked my mom and she asked the coach there and they let me play with them. Although I was older, I was shorter, so I just fit in with everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a particular moment that you're out on the golf course that you really love?
Oh, when I'm at the tee box, because I think about my shot and I take a couple of practice strokes, but I also get nervous too because what if the shot doesn't turn out?
Which often happens.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, all
right.
the time. When it goes good, I feel great, but when I see water, I don't know why, but it always goes there, in there.
It's because you're a swimmer.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah. But truly, I mean, there's nothing for those of us who have picked up a golf club at least once. When you hit it just sweet and true, there's no better feeling. Right. Yeah, awesome. So, Andre, tell me a little bit about golf in your life, like what it's meant to you.
Well, golf has meant a lot to me. Grew up in Lansing, Michigan. Started playing golf at the age of 4. My father picked it up for business reasons. He worked for GM as a salesman and a buyer.
A lot of business done on the golf course.
A lot of business is done on the golf course. Our president plays a lot of golf. Our ex-president played a lot of golf. Our last president, excuse me. But for me, grew up playing every sport and loved basketball, but I wasn't going to be 6'5". Didn't have the family for that.
Some things you don't have control over.
Right. Loved football, was very good at that. But golf was always a little different. More of an individual sport. It was harder to complain and blame other people for
He
things
didn't block
that happen.
for me. Yeah.
Correct. Those things can't happen when you're on the golf course. And I'm glad that my father taught me the game. Now, the funny thing about it is I have 3 brothers and none of them played. A little bit older.
Okay.
I have brothers that are 10, 9, and 7 years older than me.
Okay.
And just at the time that my father started picking up the game, they were already off playing other sports and doing other things. So it was a special bond between my father and myself. And I showed some ability very early on and kind of continued on that path. So
some of it is focus, concentration, self-discipline, but some of it's also athletic ability.
Correct. And golf is an interesting sport where I think athleticism, it does help you, but it's a sport you can play without being very athletic and developing skill. Now Jorge is pretty athletic, and he's being a little more bashful than he should be. He's a better player than he gives himself credit for, making the varsity as a freshman at his high school.
That's a big deal.
And he has the element of talent, and we're helping him on the skill side and helping him to develop a little bit more there, along with the core values that we're teaching with the first tee.
Sure. And now you're a PGA professional.
Yes, sir.
What does it take to be that?
It takes a lot. Just like anything else, I think you have to have an element of dedication, hard work, and passion for what you're doing. But to become a PGA professional, there are, I believe, over 15 universities now that have PGM programs where you can earn your degree from a 4-year university. They also have the school at Port St. Lucie that's run by the PGA of America, which is the way that I went. I actually played my college golf at Tennessee State University, historically black university, and then ended up transferring to Grand Valley and finishing there. But all the experiences kind of lead you to growth and professionalism, and I'm happy for all the experiences that I've had. And having that shield and access to that PGA label, it does mean a lot. It means that I've walked a path, I've worked hard, and I'm in a profession that doesn't have a lot of minorities at this point.
Sure.
So it's very exciting, and the future looks very bright. The inclusion piece is very important. We're looking at diversity in the PGA. I just received an award of sorts, joining the 3rd cohort for the PGA. It's a minority PGA lead position that was created to create more diversity and hopefully get us in more government positions within the PGA.
So what insights growing up do you have with playing with your dad, being out on the course, and maybe you're the only folks that looked like you on the course? How does that influence how you work with students like Jorge and the other kids?
Well, I think I definitely have a passion, and I think I have an ability to reach a wide range of kids because of my upbringing. And what I mean by that, yes, as a minority growing up inner city Lansing, you learn to deal with things, and when you do step out or stand out, you learn to deal with them in a professional way. And my mother and father were the first of their family to graduate high school and go into college. My mother finished with a PhD in child psychology. My father, undergrad in engineering at University of Cincinnati. His master's, I believe, in MBA in business there. So to see that growing up, and for them to understand that they need to instill a certain value and work ethic in their children.
You had major role models.
Major role models, which is very, very important. Yeah. So the outside world didn't affect me as much. I kind of knew who I was and what I wanted to be.
Had a sense of yourself, plus people standing behind you.
Correct.
Cheering you on, but also, they'd set the bar.
Right.
Because, hey, we did this, our expectation.
Correct. Yep. And even more so, they taught me to watch for certain things. And as a young black person, there were conversations about how to deal with the police and what could happen, not necessarily what I'm allowed to do, or, I was always told not to be defensive and not to, even, really think of my rights in certain situations. It was more about protecting myself, making sure that I'm following direction and keeping a shut mouth to get through a certain situation. So mixing all those things together with being very goal-oriented and trying to learn how to achieve the goals and things that I wanted to do in life, it made for a good mix of stuff growing up. And now, with my kids, my more affluent students, my students in need, my minority student, even my younger, white student, I have a way to build a relationship with them, and the mentoring process is very important to me.
Sure. So, Jorge, I want to go back and ask you, you've listened to Andre talk a little bit, but you guys have talked lots on the golf course and in the program. What is one important thing that he's taught you over the months you've worked together?
He's taught me to never give up. Like, same thing with when I hit a bad shot, I used to, like, that would just bring me down. And after that, I would just keep hitting bad shots and bad shots.
Right.
But he's taught me that if you hit a bad shot or do something wrong, you look at your mistake and you try to fix it. You try to grow from there and better yourself for the next shot. It's like you clear everything out for the next shot and you start over and you're like, I'm gonna do this right.
Yep.
Because it truly is a mental game, right?
Yeah, it's more mental than any other sport, actually.
Yeah.
A lot like life.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, the golf and hockey, you've got this really small thing several feet away from your hands, and you're trying to control it really precisely.
Right.
You know, the whole deck is stacked against you for your success. So it's a major skill to master. Yeah, yeah. So what do your school, your classmates think about your participation in golf?
Oh, some of them are not into golf. They have like they don't think of golf as like a sport, and I think it is because you walk with your bags up and down hills. That's tiring.
And how long are you out there? We're out there for quite a while. 2.5 to 5 hours for 9 to 18 holes. So it's
and I've caddied for like 18-hole rounds, and it's tiring carrying those bags.
So it's definitely physical in that part. That's part. Awesome. So Andre, where is First Tee of West Michigan going? Because you guys have been growing over 7 years being here.
Yep. We've been growing. Right now, 2017, I believe we're at over 890 students active in our program, which is amazing. And you know, I really give a lot of the praise to our executive director, Tyler Smees, for all of his hard work. Our organization started in 2011 with 70 children, and now being at 890 with the goal of reaching over 1,000 students in 2018 as we move forward. It's really, really exciting. We have a base of about 700 students, maybe 650 to 700 students in the Grand Rapids area, probably close to 100 that are considered active in Muskegon, and now we're starting to get into the Holland community, where there is some need there in accessing facilities there to teach classes and curriculum. So we're starting to really have a stronghold on helping others and getting kids in our program and
so if
changing
some
lives.
of our viewers wanted to support First Tee of West Michigan, who would they get? Is there a phone number? Is there a website?
There's our website, thefirsttwestmichigan.org is a great place to start. I can be reached, Andre at thefirsttwestmichigan.org. That's my email.
We'll put that on the screen.
And we would love to really just build relationships. You know, there are people that have the ability to donate and to give funds. But as a nonprofit, we also need a lot of volunteerism, and we need people to assist with classes. So that's also very, very important. So there's a lot of ways to help and get involved, and we want to be available to answer questions that the community might have.
Super.
So that's kind of my role as development coordinator, to try to start that and then get it going, you know, to a larger scale than what we've had in the past.
Super. So we have to wrap up in just a second, but final question. In the intro, we mentioned that some sports, very white.
Yes.
Why is it important to bring kids of color into your particular sport, golf, but other sports?
Yep. I speak on golf probably more as a PGA professional and being that I consider myself a golfer over everything else. But you're right. I sit in on our section meeting, and I'm the only face that looks like mine.
You had some high school golfers when you were in high school saying, what's this kid doing on the golf course?
Correct. And those things happen. But as we evolve as a community, as we evolve as a nation, new opportunities are coming up. There's an element of affluency that we're seeing in, with our women, female counterpart there, with the amount of graduation rates there. Now African Americans are over 16% of the population, with an element of wealth that's growing. So we need to reflect that as PGA members. And I sit in on those meetings, and 95% of our entire nationwide PGA membership is white. And so it's been identified. So I'm happy about that, with the new lead positions that they've offered. And they're trying to create opportunities for advancement within the PGA, and they understand that they need to match and start to look more like the nation that they're in.
Understand, yeah. Well, here at Feel Like We Belong, we're big fans of equity, because if people don't have access, they're frozen out of conversations,
Correct.
whether it's out of business conversations or other elements, access to mentors, because
Correct.
a lot of people had access to that mentorship. And so hats off to First Tee.
Thank you.
Continue your good work. Jorge, continue to get better in golfing. Maybe this leads to a scholarship, other opportunities.
I hope so.
Me too.
We're absolutely cheering you on. So good luck to you, and maybe get your brother Nicholas out there and have him continue the new family tradition. But anyway, best of luck to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You bet. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching on TV, stay tuned for our following segments on information and humor. If you're watching us on the internet, I hope you will check out our other conversations with the impressive people who are working to make these United States a more equitable community for all.